So for today's focus, we're going to be really mapping out and analyzing the rubric for this assignment. And Ms. Brown and I also developed a checklist. They are heavily aligned. They parallel each other, but it's just two different ways to check yourself and make sure you are submitting and, the process and progress of your work and the submission of your work. So at any point in time, if you want to double check that you're doing things appropriately, it will be in the professional writing, professional letter folder on Schoology. When Ms. Brown is here, she's also going to have copies of this if you want to manipulate them physically. Remember, you have the presentation for this whole assignment and project. You have my example letter. You have now the checklist and the rubric. All videos are going to be where the folder says unit videos. This week, we have been working on the letter to admin brainstorm. Let me open that just to refresh your memory. Ms. Brown collected these at the end of class yesterday and left them in a stack. So hopefully you guys have found yours and can continue to work on them after you do the rubric discussion post today. This can be paper copy, or some of us have done amazing job in the after school program with me, or live in class on Zoom. Remember, you can't do anything until you do this, aside from the rubric post. So you're doing your 4 pillars: the issue, who are you sending this to very specifically, why it matters, the solution, and within the solution, what would change with your solution. And this is due today at the end of the day. And I will be giving feedback. Remember, my red ink, my typing, anything I add, comments, suggestions, these are exactly that. They are suggestions, and you can go forth with what you like versus what you don't like. So again, in the professional writing, professional letter folder, you have all of those things. Now we have a checklist and a rubric. They are separate documents here, but I do have one of them that is all together, if you prefer that. But so if we look at the checklist, this is sort of going to be what you have open as you're writing your letter after you do your brainstorming. It goes piece by piece. And while I don't think you guys necessarily need this, you guys have vocalized that sometimes with how independently we work, it would be nice if there was something you could go to and check before coming to another teacher or fellow, simply because there's 2 of us and a lot of you guys, and some of the things that you said you need help with would just be like, what do I do next? So this is a good step-by-step what do I do next sheet that you can reference. Then we have the rubric, which is exactly what myself and Ms. Brown are going to be using to determine what you score on this assignment. While that loads, here we go. I adapted this from the argumentative writing rubric that I created that is pulling everything from standards. Remember, as a junior, you are sort of in this limbo of 11th and 12th grade standard assessing and mastery. So nothing will really change between 11th and 12th grade in terms of what the standards are. It's just where you fall on the rubric, right? And what I want you guys to do today, sometimes we see these rubrics and it's a whole lot of writing and we just skim it and we don't use it as a checklist. So I created the checklist by pulling from this rubric, and myself and Ms. Brown went through here and discussed what we could specifically ask you guys so that you focus in on certain things. So remember, 5 is the best score, displaying the highest level of writing skill mastery, and 1 is the emerging score. So it's not like A and F, it's just naming where you are in that skill. We're going to be focusing on the focus and claim. So how have you addressed your topic, which is the issue you're going to present to admin, the organization and structure of your letter, evidence that we're going to go over Monday, because I don't want to overwhelm you guys. So this one is there is a question on this today for the discussion, but we're going to really focus on evidence and strengthening your solution. The analysis of your issue, that's going to come a lot from your brainstorming and my feedback for you. And language is essentially spelling, grammar, and sentence structure, right? So what you're going to do today before you continue on with your brainstorming is you're going to be focusing on this rubric in order to answer some questions. For example, I'm going to do one with you. And if you're paying attention, you can use it to answer. Okay, this one's a freebie. Looking at the rubric, what can get you bonus points? You're going to be able to look at that and say super fast what that is. So looking at the rubric, find the criteria for focus claim. What adverb gets you a 5 out of 5? What adverb gets you a 3 out of 5? What's the difference? And what happens if you don't do all the elements? If you don't do all the elements, so we're looking at focus claim right here. If you don't do all the elements, you are more likely here. Minimally addresses or fails to introduce, right? So it asked about adverbs in 5 out of 5 and 3 out of 5. Adverb is the adjective that ends in ly. So we have insightfully, and then we have superficially, right? Doing what? Addressing all aspects of the prompt. The prompt is, as you remember, what is an issue at Great Oaks that you want to propose and present a solution for? If you are superficially addressing all aspects of the prompt, remember, superficially is that surface level, not getting too deep, not being very specific, and not being very thoughtful in your presentation and descriptions of what is going on here. You can bump up if you competently do so, but then that full 5 out of 5 is that insightfully you are really reflecting and being thoughtful in all aspects of the prompt. That includes greeting, purpose, problem, and solution, right? The 5 out of 5 example would be on my letter and how I go in depth, how I link every piece of my problem to a different admin member, but I thank them and I vocalize and appreciate how they are already working on the issue. And then I give details and the why behind my solutions. So if you notice, all the rubric elements are basically the same thing. It's just to what level are you doing it? So if we look at all of them, a 1 is when you minimally address, a 2 is partially addressing, superficially addressing, competently addressing, and insightfully addressing. So the work here, I want you guys to understand that when me and Ms. Brown created this, all the skills are the same. It's just your level in which you are approaching them or mastering them, right? And I think part of the conversation we want to have with you guys on Monday is, where do you think you are before even starting this paper, before even starting the letter? I think we have discussed that with language and evidence, we're sort of still at a 3 in developing. And our goal, of course, by the end of the trimester would be pushing forward to at least a 4. But there is a personal question in your discussion post today on where you kind of want to be versus where you are now. So I know it looks like a lot, but it is created meticulously to make sure we don't have a bias when we read your work. You know, if you annoyed us one day and then we're sitting down to grade your work, it's super easy to be like, oh, they were so annoying, I'm going to give them a 1. But I can't with this, right? I need to highlight the elements that you showcase. And remember, if you don't do it, then I can't really highlight anything. And that's why you might be bugged later to submit work. And then you have the checklist here at the bottom so you guys can sort of see how they parallel and match together. So what you're going to do today, in the same folder with the letter to admin, at the bottom you have a analysis discussion where I wrote the same questions that you saw on the Google Doc. And you have 2 choices. You can answer them right here with text, or you can do what we have been doing. You can handwrite it on a sheet of paper, because this will be projected on the board, and then take a picture, email it to yourself, and upload it as a file here. And then it will, like we've seen this whole trimester, show as a picture, and then I'll be able to give feedback and use that to grade you as well, since I'm not physically there. Once you are done with the rubric analysis, you can go back to your brainstorm. So both of those are going to be due today, the analysis and the brainstorm. And then on Monday, we will revisit the rubric with any feedback I got from you guys. If I'm missing something, if you think something maybe is challenging and not doable, and then we could discuss what could still be challenging but doable. And then we'll move on to the evidence graphic organizer to enhance and strengthen your solution. If you have questions, let's hop on Zoom, let's discuss, and we'll go from there.